people know like we're here live.
Yeah.
Welcome, Talkin Nets and Brooklyn Netscast. Looking a little different out here.
Yes, it is.
And I should probably connect my real mic. That'll help. What's up? Shout out to notification gang. I seen some people get that notification. I see some people waiting. I must have set the reminders. I see people in the chat. Yo, what up? We will get started in a minute, maybe two. Let me tweet this out that we are live, and we've got 4 people watching. We can get that up to like 20 plus. Let's see. Get the screenshot of us. All right, everybody pose for the camera. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
They said,
Twitter.
Yo, Michael said he saw you at the game yesterday, Keith.
Michael saw me. Did we talk? Or did he just see me? Because I don't remember talking to anybody named Michael or meeting a Michael yesterday. But I don't know. I meet a ton of people.
I'm just saying, you better not be wearing the same shirt that you were wearing yesterday. Like, you better not have been wearing that yesterday.
Oh, nah. I was wearing my Kyrie jersey yesterday. I was wearing my Kyrie jersey yesterday.
Kyrie gang. Kyrie sport gang.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop wearing Kyrie's jersey because of our current times and situation.
100%.
We'll definitely have to talk about that. We will get into that soon. All right. Now, this link is about to go out, and then I'll retweet it from my account. Nets World, join us.
Right. Brendan, I sent this in the chat.
Yeah. On it right now. All right, there you go.
Okay, done. That's tweeted from Talkin Nets, and now I need to retweet it from my account.
Yeah, we do that too.
All right. Okay. And I think we're good to go.
Keith, on a brief note, I don't know if you saw, but just now the athletics manager is becoming the Padres manager.
Really?
Oh, really?
Bob Melvin?
Paul Melvin's going to the Padres. No,
No,
Aaron
I
Boone's to the Padres.
I don't know what's going on with that. I know what's going on with that. Bob Melvin wanted some more cash, and the A's are like, we're broke, baby. We can't pay you, Bob. You got to go, bro. And the Padres are like, oh, we got money.
Matt Olson to the Yankees.
Matt Olson might want to get up out of here. All right. Here we go. Let me pull up the box scores.
What's up, Saint? How you doing?
We lost last night, but we won Monday night.
Last night. Good
It's
Lord.
still panic at the Clays because we're 1-3 at home, or 1-2 at home.
It's tough start to the Clay season, but
It's early, man. It's so early. That's
Play season. Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into it later, but Nash is experimenting with his new roster, ton of new additions and lots of leaving people. So you gotta find that right balance in the first couple games, especially with the 10 additional games. You get a little bit more room to maneuver with.
100%.
We'll be straight. We'll be straight.
We'll be there in the end.
Let me make sure my mic is good. I'm pretty sure my mic is connected. It doesn't sound like that other mic I had, right?
No, yeah, this sounds
This
better. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. It's
Yeah.
on. All right, I'm about to start. I'm going to count us in, play the intro, and we'll get right into it. I think we'll do this like around the horn style. So like I'll say something and give my take, and then we'll go around that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we like don't talk over each other and everybody gets to speak.
Gotcha.
So that'd be
I'm
I'm in the top right, and then Caleb bottom right, and then Leb's in the bottom left.
Yeah,
So me, Brendan, Leb, or me, Brendan. Now
Caleb.
I'm messing up the name. Caleb,
Leb, yeah.
Leb.
Or William.
Oh, no, don't start with
Either way.
Don't start with that.
All right. Counting us in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Talkin Nets, episode 132. With the Brooklyn Netscast, baby. It's a mashup pod. Say what's up, fellas.
What's good? What's good?
Hey, tonight we are live. The Nets are off. We're going to talk about the last two games. Obviously, we lost to the Heat. We beat the Wizards. We're going to talk about those new City Edition jerseys. We got a couple voicemails. And then we'll just throw general questions out there from the chat and talk Nets. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talkin Nets, episode 132. Your Brooklyn Nets are 2-3. We are joining you on Thursday night, October 28th. And I've got a whole gang with me. I don't know if I've had this many people on with me in a while. I think the last time we had this many people was like a Nets Twitter All-Star episode. So, obviously, I'm Keith. We'll go around the horn. Everybody say what's up, introduce yourself, and we got to throw that first question out there. Tell us your name, where you're from, whatever about yourself, but also tell us how and when you became a Nets fan. I'm Keith. I'm from Ocean Township, New Jersey. I live in Jersey City now. I became a Brooklyn Nets fan when I was like 12 or 13. After Jordan retired, I couldn't be a Bulls fan any longer. I was a straight bandwagon front runner as a kid, but I always rooted for the home team in Jersey. And then once Jason Kidd came over here, it was a done deal. I was a Nets fan, and I've been a Nets fan ever since. Next, passing the mic.
What's going on, guys? I'm Brendan. I'm from Westwood, New Jersey, so not far from the old Izod Center. I'm currently a senior at Providence College, study accounting and finance. The reason I became a Nets fan, obviously by association, big New York sports fan, Giants, Devils, Nets, obviously. And I grew up 20 minutes from the Izod Center. My dad used to get us tickets to go there when I was younger, so I love going to the Nets games. I'm 21 years old, so I've been a fan since 1999. So shout out Michael in the chat. We've been Nets fans for the same amount of time, and I'll pass it off to Lev.
All right, I'm Caleb. I'm the person who you'll see on the Brooklyn Netscast Twitter for the most part. And I'm 18, just turned 18. I'm from Buffalo, actually, so I'm a bit out there. Buffalo doesn't really have a team. But when I was 9 years old, kid across the street named Mike was a huge Nets fan. They had a Nets flag out front of their house, and I didn't like basketball at the time. So we started hanging out a little bit, and he got me all into the Nets world. His parents ended up bringing us to a game the next year when I was 10 years old in Toronto, and ever since then, I've just been a huge Nets fan. I'm going to college right now for media, and I hope to make I hope to make it somewhere in the media for especially Nets. That would be the dream. I'll pass it over to Leb.
Yeah, so I'm Leb. Some of you guys might know me as Playboy Claxton on Twitter. I don't think that there's a bigger Nic Claxton fan in the world. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I originally became a Nets fan. My story isn't anything weird, or it is weird actually. It's literally just from me playing 2K. I can't even tell you the year it was, like that I first started playing. I remember that Jordan Farmar, Chris Humphries, Darren Williams, Marshawn Brooks, those kinds of guys were the kinds of guys I was using on the team. And that's really just like, that's how I picked my team, because I live in Virginia Beach, and there's the closest team to here is like 4 or 5 hours away in Washington, and it just doesn't really feel like a hometown team. So my teams are kind of all over the map, and yeah, that's about it. Clax Attack, I see that in the chat.
Chat, what up? What up, chat? We'll get to y'all like at the end. Bunch of questions will be thrown out at the end, and we'll answer all of them. Shout out to the 757. I went to school at JMU for like a year and a half. Yeah, so
my sister goes there right now.
yeah, so okay, so you know about JMU and I know about Virginia Beach a little bit.
Yeah.
That's cool. So let's get into it, fellas. Starting off with some news. Okay, there's not too much news now that the season is underway. All the news is around the team and the games and what's going on. But we did have some news leak out about the City Edition jerseys. Now, next Wednesday, November 3rd, the Brooklyn Nets will debut their City Edition jerseys, which are a mixtape mashup jersey, basically like paying tribute to the Nets' history from the New York Americans to the New York Nets to the New Jersey Nets to the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if you guys have seen, I definitely do know you guys have seen these, but I don't know if you guys are feeling these. Let's go around the horn and talk about these blue and red new jerseys that we're going to get. I saw that Dick's Sporting Goods in Vegas leaked these because someone put them out too early. Obviously, that's not going to happen here in New York, New Jersey area, but I will definitely be getting one of these, and I can't wait till next Wednesday when we play the Hawks because they should be unveiling the new court to go along with it as well. Are you guys feeling these jerseys? Are they mid? Are you not really rocking with them? Let us know your thoughts, and I'll try and go find the image for everyone to see that's watching on YouTube.
I don't know if we're going around the horn, but I'll just chime in. I think they're fire, personally. I wasn't really a fan very much around the time before they moved to Brooklyn, honestly. Like, all I had at that time was playing the game. I didn't really start watching Brooklyn Nets basketball, like, every game out of the year until all I remember is, like, I call it the Isaiah Whitehead era, but when I said that on Twitter, Isaiah Whitehead clapped back at me. So we don't need to talk about that. But
Jersey, Seton Hall.
Yes, Jersey, Seton Hall. I loved Isaiah Whitehead, but I mean, I wasn't really a fan at those times, but the jerseys look sick. I know I will definitely be buying probably a Kevin Durant one because I actually don't have a KD jersey yet, surprisingly. I tried ordering one like a year ago, but they shipped me a Kyrie jersey on accident somehow. But I wasn't like upset because I was like, it's a Kyrie jersey. And it was one I didn't have already, so I was like, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I'll get a KD jersey at some point. I got over 4 years to do it.
Oh, yeah. My thoughts on them, personally, I love the font. It's the tribute to New Jersey. I think that's a really nice touch. And because, I feel like some New Jersey fans, at least, are a little bit still upset about the move. I mean, obviously I'm not because I'm from Buffalo, so it doesn't really affect me. But I feel like it's just a nice little tribute to that area. And also, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, it's all the team's logos that they've ever had. So I thought that was a really just nice touch. The colorway looks nice. It just looks clean, well put together. And I'll be buying a Bruce Brown one, which I know is weird. But basically, I think, Lev mentioned it, actually. So when I play basketball, my friends call me Bruce Brown because that's like my exact play style. So Bruce Brown's like, if I had to choose, like he's got Lev's got Claxton, mine's Bruce Brown. So I'm getting Bruce Brown jersey.
Yeah, I love the jerseys personally. I know I loved the same editions last year, the light blue, but now they're going more towards the dark blue. It kind of brings me back to that Drazen Petrovic era. I remember watching his highlights when I was younger. As you can see with all the logos, that's so cool. The right one in the middle, with the Nets with the basketball one, that brings me back to my childhood. It's like the Vinsanity, the Kid Richard Jefferson era. That's like probably my favorite era of Nets basketball ever. I remember going to those games as a kid, watching those three just dominate games left and right. And I actually went to one of the finals games too. We were in the finals, and it was quite a crazy experience. I was like 4 or 5 years old. It was, being a part of that Nets culture. Like, the New Jersey fans are very passionate. But now that we moved to Brooklyn, I love how they're like tributing back to their roots. They're not just like, oh yeah, we're Brooklyn through and through. Obviously we are, but we were respecting our heritage back in New Jersey, which, brings me back to, like 2010, 2011, right before we moved. It was kind of heartbreaking to see that we moved out of the Izod Center, but I think it's for the better of the franchise, 100%.
Yeah, I actually talk about that all the time. I boycotted the team. As soon as they announced that they were taking the team out of Jersey, I'm like, I'm not watching these games. I'm not buying merch. I'm not buying tickets to the games. I'm not supporting this move. They're taking one of two New Jersey teams. Like, all we have left is the Devils. But I went to a playoff game in 2013. I know people that listen to Talkin Nets are like, this dude says this story all the time. I went to a playoff game in 2013, and the first time I saw Barclays Center and the atmosphere, I'm like, this shit is way better than Continental Airlines Arena ever was. And I understand the vision. I understand that, like, this is going to attract better players. We're in a better market. It's for the better of the brand. And now look where we're at in this current Nets world. It's, been 9 years. It hasn't even been a decade yet. So, yeah, I love those jerseys. I'm definitely going to get one. I'm excited to see the court. I ordered the sneakers, the dunks. I got them off StockX.
Oh, those look so
I mean, I overpaid for them, but it's like a once in a lifetime thing. You know, it's like you got to get those.
Absolutely.
They're dope. All right, so let's not waste any time. Let's get right into these games. Monday night. Man, after Sunday where we had the Kyrie protest and we lost to the Hornets, the Nets had to bounce back Monday night. Your Brooklyn Nets beat the Wizards 104-90. Spencer Dinwiddie came back, and I was shook because the game before Spencer dropped 34 with Beal out. I'm like, maybe Spencer comes back looking for revenge. Blake was back in the lineup. LaMarcus Aldridge ended up, I think, being out that game. They were resting them. Load management has begun, 3 games into the season. And KD went off. I was in the arena. It was good energy in there for a Monday night. No protest, obviously, the next day because people had to go back to work and stuff. But let's go around the horn again. What'd you guys think about our last victory against the Wizards on Monday night at the Clays?
I personally thought it was probably our best played game of the season so far. And I would say probably purely because of our defensive effort. The Wizards came in as one of the best offensive teams in the NBA, and I personally enjoyed watching the Wizards struggle, which obviously it's kind of weird to say, but they kind of disrupted some of our momentum last year. When we had that one crushing loss, it was like the big shootout. Was it like 149-146, something like that? And I just remember watching Dinwiddie play and assuming that he was gonna have a great game. But then, we had guys like Patty Mills and even James Harden played some good defense on him. We switched in matchups on him, gave him different looks, and same with Beal too. And I think they shot, a combined 11 for 35 or something like that. And it was something different, because it's not really that type of Nets brand basketball that we've been used to since Steve Nash took over. It was just refreshing to see very defensive effort, maybe not as high scoring as we wanted to. But, KD was KD. Patty Mills came up huge again, fan favorite instantly. I know, Keith, you probably heard a couple of Patty Mills chants in the Barclays Center at the time. But overall, I thought it was a great game. It was great energy in the stadium from what I saw from the stream. And, just great win against a team that was looking on the upside from the first couple games.
No, absolutely. I quickly like to mention it's not Barclays anymore. It's the Clays.
The Clays is done.
It's been embraced.
Yeah, it's been embraced.
That's the new wave. I like to put out a stat real quick. The Nets defense has been pretty amazing this year compared to last year, especially. Let's not forget we got 140 put on us by the Wizards last year, and in that heartbreaking loss with the missed TLC layup. But we held Spencer Dinwiddie and Bradley Beal to 29 points on 31% shooting with 5 turnovers. I mean, for a high-powered guard duo like that, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And I think a lot of that is attributed to Patty Mills, who has absolutely had an amazing season outside of last night so far. And his defense is really underrated. His length, he plays like he's 6'5", basically. That's what I've been saying. He plays like he's a 6'5" wing, almost like Bembry does on defense. He's great in the passing lanes. He was that night. He's got really quick hands. He's really shifty, can just stay in front of his guy, and I think a lot of that was attributed to him, as well as Bruce Brown, my favorite player. Sounds weird to say, but just the physicality I think is really nice from this team this year. Even last night, even though we didn't win, I know we'll get to that later, the physicality we have been playing with has been improved. Not maybe where we'd like it to be, but it has been a lot better. And of course, KD went off. Great contribution by Patty Mills that night. an overall good team victory and a good comeback.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the best games we've played all year so far. I mean, sure, we're only 5 games in and we have 2 wins, but Patty definitely played great. KD did KD things. That was Claxton's first game not starting on the season. I don't think anyone's touched on that yet. And that was interesting. And it was Claxton's best game of the year, honestly. He played so much better, and I really wish that we could have seen him last night against the Heat off the bench. But, is what it is. Non-COVID illness. I can't wait to see him back out there whenever he's able to get back out on the floor. Hopefully that's next game tomorrow against the Pacers. But, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to definitely talk more about the Clax attack. We needed him in the Miami game. But, yeah, before we go to that game, I think I said KD went off. No, KD went off for 38 against the Hornets. But, it always seems like he's going off. He had 25 in this game. We rolled out a starting 5 of Kevin Durant, Bruce Brown, Blake Griffin, Joe Harris, James Harden. One thing I'll add is that the Nets spoke on Bruce Brown being the Energizer Bunny, right? We put Bruce Brown in the starting lineup after he was getting garbage time minutes the first 2 games, and it's an immediate impact. It's an immediate energy change. It's a shift, right? Because you got a guy that's going to come right into the game playing tough defense, and that raises everybody else's level of competition. It's good to see Bruce Brown in there. I know they were experimenting with different things, and a lot of people were saying, hey, these first couple games are like preseason games, but man, put some respect on Biggie Small's name. BB deserves to be not just starting, but getting 30 minutes like he got in this game. It's not like we have that many guys that much better than him. Not to shit on this guy, but I just think it's worth mentioning because back-to-back nights, and we're talking about both of these games, Javon Carter is 0 for. Didn't have a point. He wears number 0, and he had 0 points. He was 0 for 2 last night, 0 for 2 the night before. I guess we're, forcing this bulldog mentality and him playing defense, but I really haven't seen too much from him. I put out a video yesterday. I'm in the arena watching and filming, and he shoots a 3, and the net swishes, and I'm like, yeah! And then my boy's like, yo, that's a miss. And I'm like, what that was a miss? That shit looked like it went in.
Yeah.
Nothing but that. I saw your video. I was like, oh damn.
I saw that video and I had to watch it again. I was like, hold on, wait.
They had the bottom of the backboard or something. It looked like
the craziest illusion. I was like, how do you even do that? This guy's got to figure it out. In the preseason, he was hitting 3s, and since the actual season started, he hasn't been able to hit 3s. But it was a good win at the Clays. Like you guys said, we kept Brad Beal under control. Thank you, Brad Beal. I thought there was going to be more focus on Brad Beal, especially because people want to throw out there that Brad Beal is unvaccinated and he can play in Barclays, but why can't Kyrie?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for not showing up since Kyrie couldn't be there. Brad Beal didn't want to show up either. Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Trez, these guys they got from the Lakers. The Wizards ain't got it, man. You can kind of already see who's going to be who in the East. And I think our 3 losses so far this year have come against teams that are going to be playoff teams in the East. The Bucks, the Hornets, and the Heat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, any more remarks on the Wizards game before I play one voicemail and then we go to the next?
I have one quick thing I would like to say about that game in general. It was really nice to see Dinwiddie back. That was what I was really excited about with that game.
Yeah.
It's to see him back and playing and healthy, happy to be there. What I saw, at least, I don't know if you guys saw anything else, but it seemed like we had good connections still. He had good connections with the organization. There was no bad vibes in that any sort of way. It was just really nice to see him back and healthy.
I'm glad we got to get that game as soon as the season started and just get it out of the way and not have to deal with having to wait months and months and months for this Dinwiddie return game. And then that game comes, kind of like when we played D'Lo after he left, and then that game finally came, and then he ended up getting traded. I don't remember exactly what happened. Oh, we blew them out is what it was, right? And then he got traded to the Timberwolves the next day or something like that. I think that's how it went. But yeah, I just remember there was so much hype up for that game, and then it was a huge blowout, and it was like, oh man. But I'm just glad that we done it. It's over with, and now we can just continue on with our season.
I love how much love Nets fans showed Spencer Dinwiddie and our organization. After the first quarter, they played a tribute video to him, and I was kind of like choked up. Like, damn, like we've come a long way. Spencer Dinwiddie was my favorite of the old regime Nets. Like, buzzer beaters, tech guy with a jumper on Twitter. Like, he was our guy. And now we're here, and to think about the last like few years, he spent 5 years on our team, and I love to see how Nets fans received him, and I'm glad he didn't go off because that would have been strange to watch him like actually kill us. And we got the dub, and we move on. And he said, I lived here for 5 years. It was great. I loved seeing him and Joe Harris interacting on the court. They're brothers forever, and that was a good win. That was a good win that I feel like the Nets had to bounce back after the fiasco on Sunday. All right, voicemail. Let's see. My guy JJ. JJ calls a lot. He's a Talkin Nets fan from day one. Let's see if I can get this voicemail to play about the Wizards game.
And if you're doing a guess what the next episode is going to be on. But Nets just beat the Wizards. I think it's a chill win, when we deserved, but coming off the last 3 games, it's kind of nerve-wracking because you didn't know it was going to be a Spencer Dinwiddie friend game or something like that. I guess a couple of thoughts from this last game. One, James Harden looking a little bit more like himself. As one thing Syracuse kept saying on the broadcast is that he didn't really play that much in preseason. Like, preseason was the only time he had time to practice and stuff like that. So maybe he's a little bit out of form still. Another thing, KD's KD, of course, can use that. And then last thing is Patty Mills. I mean, play of the game for me was off the Washington rebounded shot, and he just went yoink and stole the ball. That was definitely the play of the night for me. Thank you guys. Have a good night. It's JJ, by the way. I don't remember if I said my name at the beginning.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's a good segue. Patty Mills. Well, we'll talk about Harden first. Harden, man, I don't know. I hate that people are comparing him to Darren Williams already.
I saw that. Oh, no.
I'm not ready to go there yet because we need him to not be anywhere near that comparison. But
I wish I'd never heard that comparison.
Okay,
I didn't see that till
I
just
can
now.
address this real quick. So, first of all, if you match up any single season since James Harden's been in a Houston Rockets jersey to now, he's played better than any season. Even his worst season is better than Darren Williams' best season. So the comparison is not I mean, obviously Harden started out slow, injuries, but it's not a comparison. Darren Williams was a borderline all-star guard who had good potential, and James Harden is one of the best players in the world and a top 75 player of all time. And a few things attribute to James Harden's slow start that I'd like to bring up. First was the rehab, and just he didn't really get to practice, he said, this season. He doesn't have the confidence or the feeling that he can drop 30 to 40 a night. He said that last night when the reporters were talking to him, as well as he's got to adjust to the new rules. I think it's getting overblown a little bit how much the new rule is affecting him, but there is a few plays a game. So I really think it's going to be a waiting game. Give him till game 15, 20, maybe even 25. But by then, I think he'll be in full stride, ready to go, and back to his MVP level self.
he shows flashes. In the Wizards game, in the beginning of the game, I'm like, Harden's back. And in the beginning of the Heat game, which we're about to talk about, I'm like, Harden's back. And then he kind of tapers off, which to me shows that he needs to ramp up. And he even said, I was rehabbing all summer. I didn't get to play pickup. So he's going from rehabbing into training camp and then into a high-intensity NBA opening week. And, I mean, I don't know what people expect from the guy. It's a hamstring. When you hear the phrase, you ever hear the phrase like, oh, I'm hamstrung by this? It means like you can't move. You can't do anything.
Absolutely.
Your hamstring, I don't know if you got – I played football in college. I pulled my hamstring in college. You can't even sleep right. You can't shower right. It's painful. You can't walk right. So for him to still be feeling that, and after the gutsy performance he gave us in the playoffs, like, I feel like people got to be patient with him. This is one of the greatest basketball players we've ever seen. He's going to get back to like being quick and blowing by guys and being the Harden that we've seen for all of these years.
Absolutely. I'd quickly like to mention the hamstring thing. I have a bad left hamstring. I pulled it about 3 times in the past 2 years.
Wow.
And it's still, you'll feel it lingering after like 3 months, 2 months, very much so. So like some days, like today, it flared up. They sent me home from work. Like it happens. So like hamstrings aren't something that heal very easily, take a long time to heal. They linger very badly, and it's just going to be a waiting game. He's got the best trainers in the world, and I feel like he's going to be just fine.
Yeah,
I feel like I feel like
he couldn't be in better hands. And when Harden does get to 100% and when he is back to his normal self, I think that solves so many issues regarding other players and that kind of thing across the entire roster. Because when James Harden's on the floor and he's doing his thing and he's a threat out there and he's doing his playmaking gig, everything is so much easier. Bruce Brown has said it so many times in the past about how playing with James Harden just makes basketball so easy. I mean, I've seen so many times where Claxton will set a screen and then he'll roll, and then both defenders on the screen just go right up on James Harden, and Claxton's sitting all by himself right under the rim because you gotta guard James Harden that way. I mean, it's James Harden, and I don't know. It's just gonna solve everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So overall, we're not worried about James Harden.
No, not at all. Not one bit.
And I would say that, like once he gets that dynamicness back that you were talking about, Keith, him driving to the rim is probably his most effective part of his game. He's a lethal 3-point shooter. We saw him pass the 4th all time for most threes made in his career. But I would say that his most impactful segment of his game is definitely his driving, because when he can drive and get to the rim, he's one of the best finishers in the game that we've seen for a long, long time. And not only does his finishing ability draw defenders inside, so like especially the bigger guys like Bam Adebayo or even Giannis, they draw the double teams and then the shooters are wide open. So that's why we might be seeing Joe Harris shoot a little bit poorer than we've seen as of late. Because when Harden first came to the team, Joe Harris was on fire, and we saw that Lakers game last season where Joe Harris had career was like 28 points or something. And it's just a different aspects of the game that Harden, when he's fully dynamic, can impact. And it's not even just his defense or his offense. It's just like his overall impact on the game, like his hustle. And it just seems that his sharpness isn't there. And once we get there, I think it'll solve, like Lev said, it'll solve a lot of problems within the roster. And I think we'll see guys start to improve based off of, seeing a more effective Harden.
Agreed. It's only 5 games. I think we got to revisit the Harden conversation after 25 games. Let's get into the season. Let's let this guy get a rhythm going, get ramped up. I'm tired of talking about ramping up, but it's the truth. These guys have to play these high level NBA games. And speaking of a high level NBA game, last night, Wednesday night, the Nets lose to the Heat 106-93 at the Clays. Everybody was out there. I was in the building. I saw Jay-Z, Meek Mill, Wale, Kaz, who was a Knicks fan, I ran into. Deezus, who's a Knicks fan, I ran into. But there was a lot of Knicks fans in there last night, which tells you that it was the biggest ticket in town. You got the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler, Bam, Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Tyler Hero, coming to face KD, Harden. Nic Claxton was out. Right before the game, we find out that Nic Claxton is out with an illness. This is the second time he's been sick this month, and it's not been COVID-related. Mm-hmm. I don't know about your boy Clax, Playboy Clax. What's going on with him? What's going on with him? But I think we definitely missed him last night. We got bullied in the paint. We couldn't out-rebound them. We got guys like Jimmy Butler bullying us in the paint. It was just, I don't know, it was a tough game to watch. That actually was the closest I ever sat to the floor at the Clays. I was yelling, I know they could hear me. I'm like, PJ, you weak as hell. I know they could hear me. The refs, I knew they could hear me too. We were getting the ref you suck chants going. We were booing the refs because the way that game started, I think I could probably pull up some clips. I'll pass it to you guys, but the way that game started, the officiating was so bad.
Awful.
Yeah. It was maybe one of the worst first quarters I've ever seen as far as missed calls or no calls or just like not seeing what's so easy to see. Go for it, guys. I'll get some clips together.
Good Lord. I mean, when I was watching the game, I was actually in class and I had a test that I was taking for a law class. And I was texting the Brooklyn Netscast group chat. I was like, I was literally about to throw my computer out the window, because I was already done my test. And I was like, all right, let me relax, watch the Nets game, have a good time. And these refs were just like, they were, Harden was getting slapped in the face. Durant took a couple pokes in the eye. I know a couple big guys got hacked a couple times. I know Aldridge took a little big of a big hit. And they weren't calling anything. And, it got under Durant and Harden's skin because, they haven't been getting calls all year with the new rules. So, they're trying to adjust to these things. But when the new rule came out, I think, the refs kind of lost the idea of what an actual foul is. He's they're trying so hard not to call these, knick-knacky fouls. But, the thing is that, they are fouls. And the refs are kind of losing judgment on, what an actual foul is. And when that happens, the sentiment of the game goes. And I get that you want to limit the foul calls because you don't want to, you want the games to slow up a little bit or fasten up a little bit. But it just ruins from the game because the players can't play the way they want to play. Harden's used to a guy who's taking a lot of contact, going to the free throw line. It's one of his best aspects of his game. Why he scores 30 points a game all the time because he can make defenders look foolish and then go to the foul line. And when the refs take it into their hands, especially with a hostile home crowd, I'm sure Keith was saying the refs you suck chant, boy, I guarantee you, that definitely affected Durant and Harden's performance last night, 100%. And Nash was even getting adamant. And Nash isn't a good, one of those adamant guys. He doesn't get, very animated about everything. But even he was getting pissed off. And I was like, you know what? Maybe these rule changes weren't that great for, the NBA.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there. Something I'd like to quickly bring up, Keith, if you can find the clip of Paul Millsap getting elbowed in the head and getting a foul called on Paul Millsap, please find that. Because last night, I think it was PJ Tucker. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it was PJ too. I'm not.
So PJ was driving to the rim, elbowed Paul Millsap in the head. Paul Millsap got a foul called on him, and it was an and one. That it was PJ Tucker. I remember this whole play, and it's where's the logic with that? It's like you said, they've lost the definition of what's a foul and what's not because the rule change is a very big rule change. It's just pretty much changing the whole way of how a game is called. And I feel like they're really struggling with that right now. Maybe they have to sit down and really break down what's a foul, what's not, and really just make sure you get everything right because right now it's not looking great. I watched the Atlanta Pelicans game too last night, and it was pretty bad as well. It was one of the worst ref games I've seen all year as well. Fouls, people getting slapped while shooting, nothing. It's got to be worked on for sure.
Yeah, me personally, I've always been of the mindset over the past couple of years or really just whenever I'm playing a sport or something like that is I really hate leaving it in the refs' hands. I hate to blame the refs. It's something that I just don't really want to do. But I don't know, what do you expect Harden to do here? And it's not just one game that this is happening in. It's been every single game this season that it's not just plays where oh, okay, Harden flopped on this play and they didn't give him the foul and I'm mad. Okay, whatever. It's not a big deal. They made a rule, and that's what the rule's supposed to stop. I get it. Okay, that's what it is. But it's the fact that when Harden's driving to the basket, and he just gets punched and smacked on the arm, and they don't call anything because the refs are thinking in the back of their head, oh well, if James Harden finishes this game with over 10 free throws, how's that going to look on me after the game? Because these refs get reviewed as the season goes on, and if you're the one ref that's giving James Harden 10 free throws right after they made this rule about how you can't give players free throws for abnormal movements, I just can't get with it. And me personally, I've always loved the whole foul baiting game. That's just been
it's
me.
Part of the game.
It is part of the
game. Or it was.
I just it feels like, I don't know if you guys ever play video games, but it feels like a patch, right? They had to patch James Harden. They had to he's too good, he scores too easily. We just have to stop him, and that's just how it feels to me. I don't know.
No, you're right, bro, and I'm right there with you. And James Harden naturally flails his arms or acts as he's going up or plays into it. And now they're not calling him, like, they're not calling anything for him. And they said a couple nights ago that he's the poster boy. And I'm like, well, damn. He's coming back from a hamstring, and now he's the poster boy for this new rule change. Everybody wants to see the Nets lose. It is like the Nets versus the refs and the field. I wasn't able to pull up the Millsap clip, but I know exactly what play you're talking about. Here's the KD poked in the eye clip.
Rebound. Tucker goes back strong. Blocked by Durant. And Butler steps in, and Durant is down. The rebound to Hero. Durant gets up. He's checking his face. Tucker cans a three. And Miami takes a 23-18 lead. This is an 8-0 run.
Like Durant had hit in the eye, maybe?
Like, how frustrating is that? Like, the play just keeps going on. PJ Tucker hits a three, and now it's an 8-0 run because these guys aren't doing their jobs right.
And not only does that like impact the game like directly, like the final score of the game. Like KD could get hurt on something like that, and then what happens if like one of the biggest superstars in the league is getting hurt on a play like that, and you're not even going to call the foul for it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
These refs are confused, man. Like, I think there's obviously an agenda and a memo that's gone out for them to call less fouls, and we've seen that, you know, through the first 5 games, these are the least trips to the foul line or whatever, but I don't think it's making the NBA better. I think what it's doing is, you know, some people are saying, like, oh, it's much more enjoyable to watch for now. It's like that for now, but when you get into the playoffs and calls are being missed, like, it won't be the same by the time we get to April.
No, it won't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if someone's hit in the face, it's supposed to be a flagrant foul.
Whenever you get poked in the eye in basketball, that's a flagrant foul.
And they didn't even call a foul, nonetheless, a flagrant foul. That's the issue. They need to simplify everything. They've made it too complicated. Simplify all the calls. If he gets hit while he's shooting, call a shooting foul. Blocking, if he's blocking, give him a blocking foul. If he's reaching, give him a reach. It's got to be that simple. Just make it as simple as you can. Because that's how it's going to be easiest. Right?
And it's KD, bro. He's the MVP. Like, how are you not calling that for KD? I was sitting 7 rows behind, and we're all looking around like, yo, KD is on the ground, and play is still going on. PJ Tucker hits the three. We're like, come on, man. It's clear. It's so obvious what these refs are doing to us. Yeah, and I know. Stop crying about officiating. That's all I hear from X fans and other people like, oh, all you do is cry about the refs. I'm like, nah, bro, I be at the game watching what happens. Yeah. And it's frustrating to see us not get these simple calls. I think I got another clip from Blake. Blake is known for drawing charges. He's actually an artist when it comes to getting set and drawing a charge. That's something I noticed last year when he came over here right away. I'm like, look at Blake.
Free throw line, he's now 5 of 5.
Yeah, and he took an elbow. That.
How dare Blake? How dare he?
He drew a charge. He drew a charge and took an elbow, and they called a blocking foul on him.
Yeah, wait, was that last game? Who got 2 charges called on them too? Oh no, that was Kevin Durant when he went into the paint. That was the game before, if I'm correct. That was also
James
awful.
Harden?
Oh, was it James? Yeah, it was James.
Definitely James. Yeah.
They need to. They don't understand charge and blocking fouls.
I watched Harden get hit 3 different times going to the hole, and they didn't call anything. I'm like, there was a bump at the top of the key. Then he got his arm hit, and then when he went up, he got hit again. I'm like, am I going crazy? Am I going insane watching this?
Well, I mean, we all are actually. We all are going crazy watching it. So, you know what? Get 1 second. It's time.
And you know what? Like, I know. There's so many people that say, stop crying about the refs. We got our ass kicked last night. But that game was not over until like 4 minutes left in the game. These things are momentum swings. These things are rhythm changers. These things get into the team's head where they're like, yo, we got to beat the Heat and beat the refs. It's impossible.
I have the answer. I'm bringing this back out. It's coming back out.
No.
Insanity.
I'm not even gonna lie. I have a Jeremy Lin jersey, so that's so much worse. But
the lucky Jeremy Lin jersey will be worn when our next game is going on. During the game, we're going to win.
Jeremy Lin with the cornrows, bring him back.
We're 2-0 when I wear that this season. We're 2-0 when I wear that this season. It's gonna stay that way.
Hey, why are you wearing that?
Yeah,
Because
what?
it's lucky.
Hey, what are
It's
you wearing
lucky.
that?
Last
What
year,
made you wear it in the first place?
one night I was at a friend's house and I ran home quick to grab a Nets jersey to watch a game at his house, and I just grabbed the first one I saw. It was the Jeremy Lin one, and we won the game. And then I started to realize, wait a minute, it's lucky. And then I went out of town and we lost, so I blame that on the Jeremy Lin jersey. So it's lucky now. That's what we're going with. It's lucky.
Whatever works, man. Whatever works.
Lucky Lin.
To change the subject from the refs, like I said, we got our ass kicked. They bullied us in the paint. They did what they had to do. The Heat fans were in there heavy. There was a whole section chanting "Let's go Heat." I was booing them and telling them shut the fuck up, but it didn't really help. But to switch the narrative out here, Joe Harris is now the Nets leader in 3-point shots made. Let's play the clip.
That level of physicality, and I think we did a great job in the second quarter being more physical with them defensively and taking them off task a little bit. So, I mean, we held them to 20 points, I believe, and that's around where we want to be.
Miami was active on the.
So that was David Vanderpool talking, but with that three, Joe Harris passed Jason Kidd. It was another emotional moment in there where I kind of was stuck for a second thinking about the old regime Nets, Joey being the last of the Mohicans, the opportunity that he's had here in Brooklyn that he might not have gotten anywhere else in the league. And, man, I'm rooting for him. I want him to just get back to being consistently a sharp shooter and a weapon for us, because if he's not shooting at 45% from three, that's his only superpower, and that's what we need him to do right now while we're missing the offensive output of one Kyrie Irving, while James Harden is ramping up to get him back to what he's supposed to be. Joe is healthy. He's supposed to be on his revenge tour. I hope him now being at the top of the mountain and maybe never coming down from the top. There may never be another net to pass Joe Harris in three-pointers made. I hope he carries that with him the rest of the season and continues to be an assassin from three.
100%.
Yeah, and I would say we saw glimpses of it yesterday. I mean, he took 11 threes, but he did make 5 of them. I think that's around 45%, right? Around that clip.
Yeah.
So he's shooting the ball better, I think, as the games have gone on. I think it was just a little bit of preseason rust. He didn't really get many preseason minutes under him. I know he was fatigued from the playoffs because, he was playing 35, 40 minutes a game, especially with Kyrie out in that Bucks series and James Harden out. Joe Harris isn't a guy that you want to play 35, 40 minutes a game. You want him to play an effective 25, 30 minutes a game, kind of like a Patty Mills role. But, he's one of the sharpshooters in the NBA. He's led the NBA three-point percentage, 2 years now?
Twice,
yeah, twice. And he shot a clip of over 45 3 years in a row now, which is, very impressive. And I think once we see him start to limit his minutes a little bit, he's getting a little older there. He's 20. And I think once he gets a little bit minutes restriction, once hopefully Kyrie comes back and we get some of the key pieces, molded in together, we find the right minutes between everyone. I think we might see a more effective Joe Harris, but for now he might have to eat the blunt of it, play 40 minutes a game because that's how it is. But I think we definitely saw glimpses of him, of the old Joey last night, even though he shot 5-15. He did shoot 5-11 from three, as I mentioned before. So I think if we can get into more of those catch and shoot options like we saw with the record, set some more screens for him, he'll gain his confidence back. And I think maybe lifting that weight off his shoulders of, getting that record, finally being on top of that pillar definitely might help. So I don't know what you guys think about that. Yeah.
I'd like to quickly mention, we talked about this last night a little bit, but Joe Harris is kind of playing in a role he's not supposed to. And I think that's part of the issue, is really they're asking for a little bit too much from him to do different things, a little bit too much playmaking, a little bit too much on the defensive side of the basketball, a little bit too much on the mid-range part, and they're not setting up as many plays. We also talked about that. There's not as many plays that are being set up for him. The double screens, as Matt Brooks mentioned last night, the pick and pops, it's just not as much of that, and that's where he succeeds and where he's best. And if we're not going to run those plays and set him up in that position to succeed, he's not going to. So I think a lot of it is going to be James Harden needs to get healthy and take more pressure off him and be able to play make and get him those shots. And Kyrie Irving coming back would be huge for the spacing and getting Joe Harris more open shots.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm not worried about Joe at all personally. Maybe come playoff time, I might be a little worried if he can show out during like the bright moments of the playoffs when we need him most. But in terms of like the rest of this year and until we get to that point, um, I'm not worried about him at all. I mean, he's been a consistent one of the best 3-point shooters in the league for years now. And are we just going to throw him in the trash because of what is it, 8 games? Because of 3 games at the end of the Bucks series and now 5 games to start this year? I'm not ready to do that. Yeah.
No, me neither.
I'm not ready to throw him away yet. And he shot 5 for 11 from 3 last night. I mean, that's not bad. People are ready to just throw him completely away for no reason. He passed the record last night. That's awesome. And it's only going to get better when James Harden is back to his normal self, which he's really where it all depends on. As long as James Harden is good to go, I think Joe Harris is good to go. And I think a lot of other people on the team are good to go.
Yeah, Joe Harris is ours. We gave him the opportunity. We gave him the contract. We're going to keep him in the starting lineup. I was on Pooch's Periscope, and I said, how long does Joe have to struggle before we take him out of the starting lineup? And I just was asking the question because I don't think we can afford to take a shooter like that out of the starting lineup. No. And Pooch basically said, like, hey, like, he's our guy. He's a Brooklyn Net. We paid him, and he's going to be there. And these early games, a couple games where he struggles, they're not looking at that as like Joe is broken. The fans are the ones like, oh, he went missing in the playoffs. He'll never be the same. But the organization has faith in him. And then if you even listen to the players talk about him, like last night, Harden was talking about Joe puts in the work. He puts in the hours. He's in the gym shooting all the time. That's a product. Like what you're seeing, that record, that's a product of the work that he's put in. So shout out to Joey Harris. We don't have to talk anymore about the Heat game. Nets lose that game. We got bullied in the paint. We got out-rebounded. We had 5 more fouls than them. They had 14 more points in the paint than us. And they had 20 more rebounds than us. It made me miss Claxton. And
Keith, I got a stat for you real quick.
Yeah, shoot.
That was the most rebounds they've had in the game since 2018, the Heat.
They came ready to play. It's New York, baby. Like I said, the stars were out last night. These guys came in there ready to play, and their fans were there. And we know that this is a potential Eastern Conference Finals matchup. Like, It was like that in there last night. All right, let's play this voicemail.
What's up, Keith? This is Mike. I'm calling back again. My boss showed up, so I had to hang up quickly. But I'm just really wondering how long Claxton's leash is going to be. I love him, but after these first 3 games, it really looks like he's not ready to have the role in which the Nets have him placed in. Like, he just doesn't look like maybe mature enough to really handle the position he's given. So just let me know your thoughts on what's going on, and let's go Brooklyn, baby.
Now, that voicemail came in Monday afternoon before the Wizards game.
Yeah.
So I will give the caller like the benefit of the doubt or whatever. Like they didn't know that Claxton was going to have a better game coming off the bench Monday night against the Wizards. That call was going off the first 3 games. But here's the question I'll throw to you guys, right? He asked about Claxton's leash. I know you guys are all in Nets Twitter spaces where we hear Jay from BK speak on Claxton partying and other people saying that he was out of shape, that he's been enjoying himself a lot. He's a country boy now in the city. He's been sick twice. He was sick, like, I want to say he was sick, like, the day before practice in the park.
And, he was sick last year, too. Like, not something new.
How does this guy keep getting sick? I don't know. I'm kind of lost. And it's his 3rd year in the league. We don't have any other young big besides Day'Ron, which you can't count. What are you guys thinking about Nic Claxton this year? Playboy Claxton, you got to be the first one, man. Like, are people jumping on the young man's back too fast? Is he going to round into form? Is he going to be the guy that we need him to be for this team? Because we can't be relying on Blake, Aldridge, Millsap to do it. These guys are all over 30. Claxton is young. He's supposed to be this young force in the paint for us.
I mean, listen, you're right. Like, he is young, and we should be on his back, but he is young. He's gonna have to learn from like these mistakes, and he's learning learning it the rough way right now. He got to start the first 3 games of the season, and maybe this was part of Nash's plan. Maybe he wanted Claxton to have the starting role. He saw what was going on, and then he was going to bench him for it. And maybe he thinks that this will be a message to Claxton that, like, hey, if you're not going to perform like we want you to, and you're more concerned with going out and partying and doing this and that, then I mean, we'll just put you on the bench. And maybe eventually these Nash experimentation lineups that we have going on, like these experiments, they might turn into Claxton getting no PT at some point if this kind of thing continues. Like if we see 2 or 3 more non-COVID illnesses pop up just out of nowhere, I mean, if you just can't rely on him, like before the game even tips off, how can you rely on him during the game when you got the game on the line? You got to go out there and guard whoever, and you're supposed to be like our defensive, like one of our best defensive players on the team. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a letdown, and I think that you've got to give him time, though. People are jumping. You should jump on him, but some people are just outright giving up on him, saying, let's trade him for Miles Turner, stuff like that.
No way.
Like already, like Miles Turner is way overhyped on that's Twitter. Let's talk about.
I'm so tired of hearing his
Yes.
name for the last 4 years.
He'll
be here tomorrow night. The Pacers are coming to town, and
we got out rebounded by 20 last night without Miles Turner. We would get out rebounded by 20 with Miles Turner on our team as well.
He's awful rebounder. Awful rebounder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just give him time. And then if we get to like near the trade deadline, I think you might see a point where Marks is like, hey, we can't trust this guy. He's on the final year of his deal. Maybe we try to move him, get maybe a pick back for him. Maybe we try to get someone who can contribute right now. We'll see. But I think as of right now, you just have to be patient and see if he's able to turn it around or not.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think I've been as hard on Claxton as anyone has to start the season. It's very, very obvious he's not in shape at all. His conditioning is off. His conditioning is like mine. Not saying I have awful conditioning, but I'm a regular person. So he should be able to run up and down the court.
I've seen it. Like, he can hide from the camera on Yes Network. In the arena, I've watched him. He's got his hands on his knees. After running up and down the court, you can see he's kind of like he's got weights on his ankles. I'm like, damn, young man, like you gotta be ready to go.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, it's something he can definitely fix. This is something that he can work on, and I think throughout the season it will help that he gets to play so many games. They will practice here and there. I mean, they condition still. He will get in the flow of the game. He will be in game shape by the end of the season when it matters most. That's the key for me. His potential is sky high on defensive end, lob threat. I mean, James Harden compared him to Clint Capella. He has that potential. It's going to be the question, does he want to use that potential and become that guy and get paid and be in the NBA for a long time? Or does he want to go out and party and drink and do all that stuff and before he knows it, be out of the league and not have an shot? So.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think what is contributing to Claxton's like lack of conditioning is, you know, he's been trying to put on a lot of weight over the offseason. And I know that we've been Leb was tracking, I played with Clax was tracking his progression through the offseason. He was gaining a lot of weight and he seemed like he was very fit. Like at some point, I think he gained like 25 or 30 pounds. I think they said at one point during the offseason. Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch. It didn't really look like 25 to 30 pounds.
He don't got that muscle. No, I don't see it.
I don't see it either. And I think that maybe he was trying a little bit too hard to try and put on some weight because I think that was one critique that he got was that he was getting bullied in the paint by the bigger guys, you know, like Giannis and you know, like Giannis is a freak in nature. We can't really just tell him to like, you know, go work out and try and be like Giannis. It's not possible. But you know, he can definitely contend with these other big guys like Rudy Gobert and stuff. Like I feel like he can really like if he puts on like good muscle, like not like, you know, like go out there and party and expect to gain a bunch of weight and then like shred it in the gym. Like, you know, maintain a healthy diet, you know, get a good workout regimen in, get on the bike or the treadmill a little bit, get that conditioning up. I really think he can be that guy. And we keep forgetting he's only 22 years old. And I think that he's a young guy. He's a second-round pick, like barely second-round pick. Coming out of the SEC, which isn't really known for its basketball prodigies, like as of late. And I think we got to give him a little bit of time. And I think once we give him that a little bit of time, maybe give him like a 1-year prove-it deal or something. Maybe he's like bad this year. Give him a 1-year prove-it deal. I'm not sure any other teams are going to go and throw him that $15 million contract that he's going to want. And we had that cheap option of only $10 million a year for his $1 million a year at the end of the season. So I think maybe we can get him a little bit more conditioned during the season. I hope to see him turn it around a little bit, and we definitely saw that in the game that we saw in the Wizards. Hopefully he can play a little bit more like that the rest of the season.
Okay, I've got 2 questions lined up. Shout out to Asia. Asia says, Keith, do you guys like other sports too? Yes, everyone in here likes other sports. Before we went on, we were talking about our football teams and our baseball teams, and that kind of segues into the second thing Asia said. She said, Nash better not be Aaron Boone part 2.
Oh,
and he does give me some Boone vibes. Before Boone, he was giving me Jason Garrett vibes, which as a Cowboys fan, we watched the clapper stand over there and just like not do anything but clap, like help us, please. And now I see Giants fans complaining about his play calling. With Nash, here's the question for you guys. Are you in or are you out on Nash so far with what you've seen last year and what you've seen so far this year? I will start. I like that he is showing more emotion on the sidelines. I like that he is actually leaning into these refs because the players can't do it all game. KD can't spend all game crying, or Harden can't spend all game flailing his arms looking for calls. They have to ball. They have to hoop. He's on the sideline. He's got to be talking to these guys. And I won't say that I'm out on Nash, but I will say that if we don't figure it out fast and if we don't get to where we're supposed to go this year, I don't know, I will be out on him because he was a first-time coach hired, and I get it, a splash hire, MVP, top 75 all time. We all watched Steve Nash and loved him as a player, but if this group doesn't respond and if his rotations don't work, and for the love of God, can he call timeouts when we're getting run off the court? I've said it on this podcast, I've said it in Spaces. What is the number, right? It's not a 6-0 run. It's not an 8-0 run. It's like a 10-0 run, and then he's calling a timeout.
More than that.
It's like more than that at times. So you'll see us go. You'll see other teams come in and go on runs against us, and he's just watching like he can't affect the game. You are the head coach. You can stop the game, rally the troops, talk to your guys. So what are you guys' thoughts on Steve Nash? I don't know if you're in, out, or just speak freely on your Nets head coach.
Oh, I mean, I got to say, when I first saw him that he was hired, I wasn't like, I was optimistic because, I thought the Nets were taking a nice little future outlook on the team. But then, we have these guys like KD and Kyrie, not James Harden yet, because I guess we got James Harden during the middle of the season. But I think that we really need to hire a veteran coach from day one, because if we were going to sign these guys in a win now mode, we can't just be hiring a random inexperienced coach. It's worked once or twice, Tyronn Lue with the Cavs, for example, it worked, maybe the Nets saw that game plan. They were like, yeah, maybe that's what their recipe of success is. Get all these veterans in, get a new head coach in with new ideas, a guy who's been around the league a lot, had played a lot of years. But it wasn't the vibe for me. And I really thought that Sean Marks was going to go after, a lot of Spurs roots. I thought we might have gone after Greg Popovich at some point, maybe in a little sign or trade deal or something like that. I know that was floating around a little bit. Maybe even a Frank Vogel before he went to the Lakers. He's been around the Indiana organization a lot. And I really thought that we would go the more experienced route, as we did with our roster. But, I saw the sentiment of going a younger guy that, who's Hall of Fame player, knows the game of basketball. I get the sentiment, but I think that we probably should have gone a little bit more veteran. For now, I'm still Nash in, but like you said, Keith, if he doesn't figure shit out and the rotation's down and the players start to become a little bit unsettled, maybe Harden doubts that he wants to work. Obviously that's a little bit out of the question now, but I think he wants to stay in New York ultimately. But, if he does get those feelings of maybe this isn't the right fit, maybe Nash isn't the guy, then he should be out. But for right now, I'm in, but I could be out at the end of the season. It's very possible.
Oh yeah. I'm all in on Nash. I guess I'm in the minority. But I really think. Okay. Yeah. Well, at least with you, Leb. That's nice to know. I really do think Nash has what it takes. I mean, I think we've seen in the past. Not that I think Steve Kerr's a great coach, honestly, but old point guards, old time great point guards, when they become coaches, they have the knowledge. That's a big part of the point guard position, as we all know, is knowledge of the game. And I think he's still getting there because he has the knowledge of the game. Now it's how to put it onto the court with other players because he can't do it. I know that's probably weird for him playing in the NBA for so long, but I really do think he has it. The timeouts are something he really needs to improve on. I don't know if that's the players, though. We discussed that yesterday in the Spaces Lab about how the KD sometimes is the one that says when to call timeout, which is a little bit.
I wasn't in the space yesterday. But...
Oh, you weren't in space. Okay, yeah. So KD, there's been points where KD tells Nash when to call the timeouts, which I don't understand. But maybe that's the game plan they're going around with Nash, is the players get to, which I don't love. But I think there is much improvement he can do. I think if the rotations improve in the next few months, a lot more will go his way and people liking him. But for now, he's got a lot to show, and I'm pretty excited for it, honestly.
I feel like a big reason why Nash gets a lot of criticism from fans and all that is because fans want to see wins right now. And the reality is we're in game 6 out of 82 upcoming. And like these games, you guys might not like it, but I don't think that it's that big of a deal if they go on a 12-0 run versus an 8-0 run in game 6 out of 82. I mean, really, it might affect the standings at the end of the year. You're right. It could, and that sucks. But at the same time, I don't think that the Nets brass are really that concerned with. I don't think KD, I don't think Harden, I don't think Kyrie, I don't think Nash, I don't think any of them are very concerned with if we're a 1 seed, if we're a 2 seed, if we're 3, 4. I think Nash is just letting the guys play through it because he wants to see, hey, when we get in the playoffs this year, am I going to be able to have the other team go on a 6-0 run, 8-0 run and be like, hey, I trust my guys to bounce back from this because I really want to save this timeout for later in the game when I need it. I think he's just trying to see, like, let me test this out. Let me test this out. That's just how I see it from like a coaching point of view. And the way that I want to grade Nash is like, there's a lot of stuff I didn't agree with during last regular season, but I thought in the playoffs, I didn't have any issue with almost anything Nash did. Did
No.
you guys?
No.
And that's all I want to grade him on. That's all it comes down to, really. And as long as Nash, like, we could be a 4 seed this year, I wouldn't care. But as long as we win the finals, hey, who cares? Like that's all it really comes down to. And if what we're doing right now, if us going on a 14-0 run versus an 8-0 run is gonna change like how that ends up, hey, anything that matters.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The organization last year basically told us that they didn't care about getting the number 1 seed. They just want to be in the tournament and then let the chips lie where they are, and we'll figure it out then. And what I'll say about the Nash hire, because you mentioned Tyronn Lue, the NBA model was first-year head coach, win a championship, right? Tyronn Lue did it. Nick Nurse did it with the Raptors. Steve Kerr did it with the Warriors. But those guys were on NBA benches. Those guys were like being groomed to be head coaches for longer than Steve Nash was. Steve Nash was like a developmental coach, like a practice coach. And that's where I think KD connected with him. He was like a practice coach with the Warriors. And either way, we have who we have. Nash isn't terrible. I think he has room for improvement, as anyone would at a job going from their first year to their second year. I'm still in on him, but like I said, depending on how this year ends, I could be out on him because if this team doesn't get to where it's got to go, someone's going to have to take the blame for it. And I hate to say it, we started off this question talking about Aaron Boone. Look at the Yankees. The Yankees haven't gotten to where they're supposed to go. and they just re-upped the guy for 3 years that hasn't been able to get them there in the last 4 years. So how do you expect him to all of a sudden be able to get you there? All right, let's go to
Alex Cora.
Let's go to some different questions. We got some love out there for Kyrie, and I definitely wanted to ask you guys this question. Yes. William says, Keith, when do you see Kyrie coming back? Now, I put out a couple things today about Kyrie, basically saying that the only answer for when Kyrie is coming back or if he's coming back is to give it time. Nobody knows. And the reason I say it all like hinges on time is because things change over time. The mandate can change over time. Rules can change over time. His stance can change over time. His vaccination status could change over time. But I don't think us losing games makes Kyrie want to come back. I don't think that like Kyrie sitting at home wanting to be, you know, Superman and come in and save the day. I also don't think like the protest and the riot outside of Barclays with, you know, people trying to rush into the entrance, which was so stupid. I was out there right after that. I don't think that moves Kyrie in one direction or another to get vaccinated or not. And I just think it's a matter of, does the mandate change in 2022? And the last thing I'll say about Kyrie is this, you know, we don't get to view Kyrie, like he doesn't share his personal life too much. We don't get to view Kyrie on like Instagram, and like he uses his Instagram to post like, you know, tribal memes and like, you know, native stuff, which is awesome. That's his thing. Cool. But we do know that his son was born this year and his son is not even 1 year old yet. So I do think that Kyrie is going to take the rest of this year off, because as it currently stands, we're like a month away from Thanksgiving, 2 months away from Christmas. I think Kyrie's going to enjoy the holidays with his firstborn son in, you know, his home with his wife and his daughter as well, and even his dad and his sister. And someone asked me, you know, people DM the Talkin Nets Instagram all the time, and I rap with people about Kyrie. And they're like, realistically, when do you think he's going to come back? And I'm, you know, if I'm a gambling man and I had to put a bet on it, I would say after the All-Star break. And I say that because I think he's not coming back until next year, 2022. This season, but 2022. We know that his dad and his sister's birthday are the same weekend, I think like the 10th and 12th of January. That's where last year he had the party and the images came out and the Nets weren't happy about it. So he's probably not going to come back till after he celebrates his dad and his sister's birthday. And then we all know about the All-Star break. Why would he come back and play for a month and then there's the All-Star break? If Kyrie does come back, whether it's vaccinated or unvaccinated, I don't want y'all to be thinking that it's in November, December, or January, or even really February. I think it's going to be like late February, March, and there's supposed to be a new governor coming in. People are talking about Eric Adams replacing de Blasio, and if he can change the mandate, we got to see. We got to see what COVID is doing this winter, what the vaccination numbers look like in the community in New York, and we'll see. Things are subject to change, but when do I think Kyrie is coming back? Not until after the All-Star break at the earliest. Go for it, fellas.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. And I think the whole family aspect that you were talking about, Kyrie's a very big family man. And especially he's been like connecting back to his roots, his religious roots over the past couple of years. And I think that he really emphasizes that aspect of his life more than pretty much anyone does in the entire NBA. And I think if it does take him that long, like, so be it. You know, like Nash is experimenting with all these without him. We dealt with him without him last postseason for a little bit. But I think that if he does come back after the All-Star break, you know, like the guys won't be upset. You know, like Katie was like, you know, Kyrie's my guy. Like he's my brother. Harden said the same thing. They welcome back with open arms. Like, you know, he's like part of the team. Like we don't want to win without Kyrie is pretty much the motto that they've been saying. Because, you know, like they want their brother right next to him. Because, you know, Kyrie was part of the project. You know, he was part of like 90% of the reason why Katie even like came to Brooklyn in the first place. Because Kyrie's a hometown boy. He grew up 20 minutes away from me, like right, like almost like equidistant for me from Izod Center not too long ago, and playing for the St. Patrick's School. And I saw a couple highlights from him in high school today, and I was like, you know what, like he's a hometown boy, and you know, he won't do anything that'll disappoint his hometown fans. And I think he's really, you know, taking this time just to like, you know, take like a mental detox. Because, you know, he's always been criticized by the media. And I think he's just taking a step away for a little bit, focusing on his family things. And if it does take him for that long, so be it. As long as we, get in the playoffs, like he gets back into the rhythm of things. Kyrie is Kyrie. He's not going to lose his magic touch. He's an ankle injury won't bother him. He's got that same quickness. I've seen it before. I just think that if we give him time, he'll come back and he'll be, just as good as he was before.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, Keith nailed it on the head with the timing. I think that's absolutely perfect. That is when he will come back, in my mind, almost without doubt. And then Brandon nailed it on the head with the whole family man thing. That's really what he is. He also connecting back to his roots with his Native American culture, which it was really nice to see, actually. And a bit of my family is Native American as well, so that was it was just a really cool thing, I thought, for the Native American community overall. And I stand with him no matter what happens. So 100%. I'm a huge Kyrie fan, as I think we all are, and no matter what happens, we're all Kyrie fans. So
absolutely,
yeah, I think he could. I'll say yeah. I obviously do think he will come back this year. I've been pretty adamant about that, but I don't think it's going to take as long as you guys are saying it will. Like after the All-Star break, I mean, I know you guys are trying to be like cautious, like you don't want to give people too early of a date, all that kind of stuff. But I feel like it could be as early as like January, maybe even December. I don't know.
But not to cut you off, do you think it's that early because of a mandate change or because he changes his mind and gets the shot?
I think one way or another, it could be either one. I think if it's going to be a mandate change, it'll be January because that's when the whole mayoral change will happen, and that's
it won't happen that fast though. These are like
it does, doesn't it?
Well, I don't think that they'll
be January 1, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they'll be able to change a law, a mandate that quickly. These things take time. Like at the quickest, it might be February 1st.
I'm gonna say real quick, it might change a lot sooner than that.
I feel like that might be one of his main things. Like
with having the in me being in New York City every day and seeing like what is going on with like the police having to be vaccinated now, like that's changing some things. Like there's some people that are fighting that, and they want to keep the peace. So
yeah,
we'll see.
They might just change it. Yeah,
I think that they could change it. I mean, maybe they don't even wait for Adam. I'm pretty sure they'll wait for whoever wins the mayoral election. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be Adams. I live in Virginia, so I don't keep super close track of it. But I'm pretty sure Adams is the pretty clear-cut front runner right now for the race.
Yeah. Republican isn't going to win here. It's just how it is.
I'm pretty sure. And but you guys are saying that he might wait till after the All-Star break because maybe he wants to spend some time with his newborn and he wants to spend some time with his family. I get that, and I think that maybe he will come back and maybe he will take some time like he did last year where he came back or like he was playing and then he took that little like week leave of absence like kind of thing where he was just kind of gone. But like maybe this year it'll be like a non-COVID illness at the same time as it was last year. And like I think that kind of thing could happen. It's definitely not a new thing for the Nets to have him do that. And I just think Kyrie's the kind of guy that loves to go out there and hoop. Like I think that you don't just stop hoopers from going out and doing what they love. And it's been so long since he's been able to go out there and do that alongside his guys like Kevin Durant. Like I feel like he he doesn't owe Kevin Durant, but he kind of might feel like he owes Kevin Durant. Like, hey, I'll be out there beside you. I'll be out there beside you, James, because guess what? You did all this just to get traded here. The least I can do is go out there and hoop for a little bit alongside you and get this team to the playoffs because I'm trying to go win a ring. I'm trying to go win for my city. I'm trying to do this for like where I'm from. I'm trying to go do this for like this is where my family's from, and let's do this thing. I think that could all factor in for him.
Yeah. Let's end on this note. Here's the plot twist. Here's the one thing people aren't thinking about, right? Kyrie could be playing road games. He could be with the team on the road, and that was what we thought was going to happen. Like, when I was repping We Support Kyrie, I'm like, you know what, Kyrie, you have the right to choose, and we're with you. We'll see you on the road. We're gonna get a top 75 NBA player on the road. We play all these different lineups and have these different configurations of different guys in and out. We get Kyrie on the road. That's an awesome boost. The Nets decided to not do that. And I think they decided to not do that because of this opening week stretch of 6 games. They got specialized merch and T-shirts they're giving out. They're doing plaza parties. You saw the first night what was attracted to Barclays. People repping Black Lives Matter, MAGA. I saw fuck Joe Biden signs out there. People with baseball bats. People with all types of stuff. Combat boots, book bags, American flags, different kinds of flags. The Nets didn't want that distraction for opening week, but if the Nets continue to struggle, the organization is in touch with Kyrie. I guarantee you they have spoken to Kyrie every week through this. And I know that the players have kept in touch with Kyrie via text, or there has been for years a Nets team group chat. The plot twist that people aren't thinking of is the Nets could decide, okay, we're losing games, we're going on a skid, we will take Kyrie on the road. Opening week is done. Let's figure out how to get him. He's allowed to practice in Brooklyn. The Nets could flip that switch. And if the Nets do flip that switch, that is the only way I change my stance on, whether he comes back before February or March. That's the only way that I think we see him sooner rather than later. But
that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. Wow.
All right, guys. I know you guys got other things to do. I appreciate you. This has been cool as hell, and we'll definitely do it again. Tell everybody where they can find you guys at. Obviously, I know where to find you guys. I watched or I listened to the last couple pods you guys did, but whoever wants to do it, plug yourself so Talkin Nets fam knows where to find the Brooklyn Netcast.
All right, you can mainly find us on Twitter at Brooklyn Netcast. That's where we do a majority of our things. We promote most of our stuff and have our biggest following on there. I'll be able to answer any messages you have. I'm very active on there, as well as you'll see a little bit of Leb and Brendan on there, as well as a few other people that help us out over there. And we really do appreciate you for having us on today. It was a ton of fun. We hope to do it again very, very soon. And it was really just a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks, Keith.
Man, thank you guys for being down and scheduling it and, 100%. Talking back and forth in the messages. I'm glad we could make it happen. So make sure you follow 100%. These guys. Obviously, follow Talkin Nets, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube. Click like on your way out. Subscribe to the pod. Write some reviews. I'm challenging y'all. Write a review, and we'll read it on the next pod. The last review is from June 29th, so that was going off of when we lost in Game 7 and last season ended. We need some new energy. We need a new review about this season. If you enjoyed hearing these guys, write in and I'll read it on the next pod. Call the voicemail. You can be heard on the pod. The number is 201-870-0461. Shop.johnboymedia.com. You can get all the Talkin Nets merch. I think you guys might have seen some of the KD stuff we put out. With the KD silhouette. Now we got hoodies like that. So go check that stuff out. And we'll be right back after the next 2 games. We pod after every 2 games. I'll be at the game tomorrow night. Some of you will be listening to this podcast Friday morning. So I'll see you at the Clays for the Pacers game Friday night. That's all we've got. And when we step back in the building, we say, let's go Nets. Let's go Nets.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.